Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family, or whatever side of the diaspora that you're on. I want to welcome you to the Mental House again with your host Khadija. How y'all doing out there? Well, I hope you are wonderful. I do, I really do. Today I'm coming with another heavy hitter in the Mental House, y'all. That's just going again, talking about getting to the bottom line of what makes us tick. Because I really do believe, I keep saying it, that, once we begin to start healing our families, I think that in turn we're going to heal and have a better society, because it's going to be a better community. And that just extends all the way to the state, on the state level, to a country level, and then to the universe, and it expands that far. But I just really want to talk today again about abuse and dysfunctional families, and the things that we go through in dysfunctional families that we consider normal. Uh, and there's a book that I ran into, and it's adult children of dysfunctional parents. I believe it was something like that. It's a adult children: the secrets of dysfunctional families by John Friel and Linda Friel. It's a couple, and I'm just going to read a couple excerpts from the book uh, that really challenged me, and I wanted to do hopefully the same with y'all. As you start dealing with some of these normalcies in our families that really have created emotions in us that really have affected our adulthood and the relationships that we have with other adults. One of them is, uh, wow, these are certain characteristics that that happen in the family dynamic. I think it's real important that we just, you don't have to claim, you know, all these things. Some of them were just so incredible because they just jump right out the book at you, about these family dynamics, the secrets that we hold in our families, uh, and how we deal with family problems, family communication styles. Those type of things kind of affect the way your communication style or your communication skill level is going to be. So I'm just going to start right here. Um, Emotional abuse, double binds. Okay, all choices given are the child to the child are negative ones. Okay, this is how you emotionally abuse a person, and I'm saying as a child because that's you. This is how it starts. Most of these adults that you see are wounded children. That's why I said when you it's really difficult when I watch these young girls have babies, and I know that they're not emotionally developed yet, and it is nearly impossible. I don't care how good, how much she can put them on new clothes and pretty clothes. It is impossible for that young mom to give that child emotionally what he or she needs to be successful, because they don't possess it. They haven't even grown into that yet. So um, then you have projection and transfer of the blame onto the child. Wow, how many times have I heard that? Um, I mean, have you witnessed that projection? That the parents are actually projecting their feelings off onto that child. Alteration of the child's reality. It's called, it's like what you call intellectual abuse. I'm going to give you an example. Like when the kid might say, "Oh, daddy's drunk." And the mom said, "No, daddy's not drunk. He's just tired." That's a lie. And the kid's not crazy. And for you to say something like that is diabolical. Overprotecting, smothering, excusing, blaming others for the child's problem. Oh boy, that's another heavy one. That's a very, very heavy one right there. Fostering low self-esteem. Double messages. Of course I love you, dear. Of course I love you. As the parent is gritting their teeth. I mean, whoa. Not talking about the abuse at all. So in other words, silence is consent. Someone used to always say to me, and so what that means, I think it's self-explanatory. You don't just talk about it at all. Act as if it didn't happen. Then you have in your families the dynamic that you call emotional neglect. Failure to nurture, care for, or love the child. Failure to provide structure or set limits. Not listening to, hearing, or believing the child. Expecting the child to provide emotional nurturing to the parent to make them feel good. I remember hearing a lady in a daycare at one time that I frequented, and I would remember hear her say that, yeah, this is my little son's gonna put me in the NBA one day. He's gonna be my little baller. He's gonna take me out the ghetto. Incredible. I mean, a LeBron James mom. I'm not saying that there's anything, I don't want to be disrespectful. So I don't want to say it in the fact that, your kid is trying out for a sport and you're interested. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the little boy had little gold chains on his neck already and earrings in his ear. And he was every bit of 3 years old. And I just thought that it was disgusting. And I thought that she was actually projecting her feelings for a man onto her child. That's exactly what I got out of the just the look of her and her thought of what her son was going to be. Anyway, not being emotionally present due to mental illness, chemical dependency, depression, or compulsivity, excuse me, y'all. Failure to encourage education or intellectual development. So that's a sign of neglect. When you don't encourage your kid to go to school and you let him skip out in a court, it's got to call you. I'm not saying because your child is skipping school. I'm saying you don't care, or you're actually enabling the child to not go to school. I know also I had a family whose daughter had missed, I'm just going to make up something, maybe out of 120 days in the school year, she missed 94. It was just incredibly insane. Okay? Anyway, we have physical neglect, which is lack of food, of course, clothes, shelter, leaving the child alone in an inappropriate ways, leaving the child who is way too young to be in care of the other ones, failure to provide medical care, allowing or encouraging the use of drugs, alcohol, failure to protect the child from the abuse of others, including the spouse. That's all considered physical neglect. Verbal abuse, excessive guilt, blaming, shaming, name calling, put downs, comparison, teasing, making fun of, laughing at, belittling, nagging, harrying, screaming, verbal assault. There was a lot of verbal abuse in my home. Way too much verbal abuse. For us, we ribbed each other, that we were ribbed. Some of my siblings were taught to the point, and I had one sibling who could draw fairly well. God rest his soul, my brother, he's not here anymore. He would draw a picture of my younger brother sitting on a toilet. This is all out of his own imagination. And he would draw him with a real big vein in his forehead. And everybody would crack up and and they would pass the picture around because he was such a great artist. But my little brother would be miserable and he would be crying. And I think about that now. That's what you call verbal abuse. So now tell me, let's get on down. Physical abuse. Slapping, shaking, scratching, squeezing, hitting, beating with cords, sticks, belts, kitchen utensils, yardsticks, electric shovels, hoses, throwing, punching, shoving, slamming against walls or objects, burning, scalding, freezing, forcing of food or water, starving, having to watch others be physically abused, overworking. That's all considered physical abuse. Slapping, shaking, scratching, squeezing, hitting, beating with boards, sticks, belts, kitchen utensils, yardsticks, electric cords, shovels, and hoses. Now, I don't personally agree with all that, but man, it's a fine line, because I would rather that a person hit a child with a belt than, or a kitchen utensil, than if I believed in corporal punishment, and I do. I would rather see them hit with a belt or a kitchen utensil than an ironing cord or a shovel or whatever. And I don't even think those two should be in the same family. But of course, I've regressed. That's neither here nor there. Sexual abuse, neglect, fondling, touching, innuendos, jokes, comments, looking, leering, exposing self to, masturbating in front of, mutual masturbation, oral sex, anal sex, intercourse, penetration with fingers or objects, stripping and sexual punishments, enemas, pornography, taking pictures or forcing the child to watch, forcing children to have sex with each other, enforced sexual activity with animals, watching others have sex or be abused, sexual games, sexual torture, burning, etc., not teaching children about sex, allowing sexual naivete. That's definitely a no-no. These women that don't even tell their daughters that they're going to have a period, that's abuse. That's abuse. But I don't agree with an enema given by a parent to be abuse. Okay. Burning, not teaching children about sex, not talking about puberty, menstruation, nocturnal emissions, etc. Now, perfectionism whoa, is common and can be one of the most easily denied and excused flaws of any family. It is also easily misunderstood. Perfectionism includes having unrealistic expectations for self or others. It is conveyed not only by obvious criticism and belittling, but also by more subtle means, like a well-timed frown or a downturned glance, a quizzical look, coupled with a pregnant pause or a smirk disguised as lack of understanding. You were embarrassed at the party? Daz asked innocently, with an edge of contempt at your vulnerability in his voice. What were you embarrassed for? What a trap. He obviously doesn't approve of your feeling embarrassed, but he also wants to know why you were embarrassed. So no matter what you say, you're in trouble with the message, and the message is very strong and clear no matter what. We don't get embarrassed in our family. You failed, you didn't meet the expectations. Okay, so see little subtle things in this book. There were a few things, like I said, that I did challenge in the book, and I don't just want to stick on the beating aspect of it, but there's a very good book to examine. The triangulation, the double messages that go on in our families. You can look at it in the result of the adults, because they do things like they don't have the ability to play or have fun. They have a high tolerance for inappropriate behavior and pain. Enmeshment, entitlement. Man, all these dynamics that go on in our families. Or the no talk rule. I know you remember the old saying, don't air your dirty laundry in public. So you see, we have a lot of things that are going on in our families that may lead to a lot of emotionally challenged, disturbed adults. And in my opinion, unless you are willing to go back and see if the thoughts that you have are truly, again, authentically yours, and they didn't necessarily just come from your parents, and they got it from their parents, and they got it from their parents, and you're unwilling to challenge those thoughts, then you're gonna probably stay in a mindset that is just on automaticity, just automatic. You're not actually going to be enjoying every moment and tasting the nectar of life the way it really should be. And the journey of it is to be able to be conscious of it and not say because it worked for my mama is good enough for me. I remember that song, give me that old time religion, nah, I don't think so. But anyway, I want to thank T for helping me by finding the road back to me, from being in such a just a hotbed of emotional insecurities and just a mess, enmeshment. All those things led me back on the road to me. So I appreciate every experience in my life, good or bad. And I might didn't think that at the time, but I know that now. And I want to encourage each and every one of you under the sound of my voice, to do that. To begin to look at your family dynamic. Not saying that these are bad people or anything, and you're going to go and just say, well, you have a right to be angry about some things. But I don't think it does any good to confront them. I think it does a better good for you to hug yourself and never lose touch of that little child inside of you that needs nurturing. And that if you came from a family like this or did these type of things, then it did some damage to your spirit and your psyche, and you need healing from that. Okay? And hopefully we can heal together right here in the mental house. I really thank you for being out there. Appreciate you so much. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.